The following is an excerpt from a conversation I had with Ingrid Honkala earlier today. Ingrid and I will be doing a joint presentation at Tricia Barker's third annual Near-Death Experience Seminar Summit on August 1st. But I wanted you to meet Ingrid ahead of time because she's such a beautiful soul. She's such an amazing person. Not only does she have great accomplishments at the relative level, such as having a PhD in oceanography from University of Southern Mississippi, but she's also been working with NASA, UNESCO. She's a member of the Colombian Navy. She's a mother. Most importantly, though, she has since a very early age 2, when she had her near-death experience, she's been open to the subtle fields of creation and experiencing higher entities in our creation, beings of light, she calls them, and using her wisdom and experience and perception to uplift the whole world. So I hope you enjoy the following excerpt. We had a lot of fun and we're really looking forward to presenting together later this month. Thank you.
I remember, Dorothy, when I was in my car, when I had my big awakening, and I'm there and like, there was nothing that was not God.
Yeah.
Nothing. Even the wheel, the windshield, every pore of my being, everything that is God, is it. And it was that place of like, there is only love, there is only perfection, there is only it. But now is what I want to make of it. There's only neutrality. Everything is neutral. What I give to this pen is the value that I give to it, but in itself is neutral.
Right.
So it's like, what a sense of inner feeling of like, oh, what a sense of inner power, because I can take or give. It's all perception. It's the decision I make. That's to me, that's the only really true free choice that we make. Free will is not, oh, I choose to eat this. No, I'm conditioned to eat that. I choose to wear this. I'm conditioned to wear this. Yeah, I have a choice, but it's conditioned already for my culture, my ancestors, where I live. My only true choice, my free will, is how I choose to perceive, how I choose to feel. Do I stay in the state of suffering, or I choose what I say, the path of clarity, the path of the light? How do I want to perceive things? Where do I want to be the one involving the drama, the witness, the observer, awareness itself? What is my choice? That, to me, that's the only really true free will.
Right. Beautiful. It's beautiful. When I'm looking also at this quality of this God energy, my experience, or the words I've chosen, and in my work, I think a lot of my work, Ingrid, has been defined of a viable lexicon for the abstract experiences, because people can't even be aware of them very easily unless they have a way to describe them to themselves. So thank you for describing that so beautifully and differently from the way that I do, because now I can bring in a slightly different angle to describe, but still to provide like another perspective on it. And that is that each person has access to their pure potential. Yes. And that pure potential is that light of God energy. It is that light of the essence of creation. It's that first energy that birthed the universe, the Big Bang, that first moment of the creation when all the universe, all of you that you are, was contained, and all the universe was contained in you, and all of you are contained in the universe. And it was still like primordial, And at that point, there was no separation. It was all just like, I am the whole universe. And then it came out and diversified. But in that process, the first spark was not lost. And that first spark of that pure potential is who we essentially are. That is who is calling for mother. When the child says, mommy, mommy, it's a yellow car. And mommy turns and says, oh, show me the yellow car. I want to see the yellow car too. No, but it's that sense of who we truly essentially are. And that pure potential resides in that sacred space. It's the wholeness. It's the home it's the center of the sacred space, and that's here in the heart, like that sacred space here, that pure potential is just right there. And so when people can find that, they can recognize it as the most simple, innocent expression of themselves. It's that pure light, like I could be anything. Anything. That's right there.
That's why I call
right
it
there.
Like the love. That's why I call it like the space between, because it's that energy in between. What is that I feel for my son? It's indescribable.
It's indescribable, yes.
That's energy. The being so light said to me, what you think that humans have children just to procreate the species? No, that's not the true purpose.
No.
They said the true purpose is to bring you back to unconditional love. Is a way, is a pointer. And many people miss the opportunity. Then when you have that true connection, wow, it feels it's out of yourself. It's like all of it.
Yes.
In totality, you're immersed in it. Wow, is that sense of spaciousness. They said, you think that you eat food just to keep yourself going? They said, no. The idea behind that is to create connection between people. That's why you eat a meal together. That's why people gather around food. That's why people, if at home, the family eat together, they connect. What do you think is all the symbolism of Jesus and the disciples eating a meal together? It's not to eat food.
Right.
The connection.
Right.
So the more people are at home watching TV and eating by themselves in the couch and ignoring or just in their phones,
right,
the more suffering we're creating for ourselves because we're creating this connection.
That's so beautiful, Ingrid. Yes, it's an integrative process. And when my perspective on the eating process is that if you go down the food chain to the original foods, they all come from plants. But plants make their food from photons because photons come from the sun and then they come into the plant and the plant creates, through photosynthesis, creates sugars. But what is a photon? Because really that means what we're eating ultimately are photons. If we look at what is the energy of a photon, it ties into what you said so beautifully, that the photon is a very ancient thing. It's been floating around inside the sun for billions of years, right? And at some point it comes out of the sun and it comes to the earth. It happens to fall to the earth and fall to a plant and starts to become an expression of that plant's body. And then we eat, or some animal eats, or however, a person organizes their diet. And when we take the food in, we break it to smaller pieces. And eventually we get back to the essential nature of that original photon. And the photon is like an emissary of our universe. It carries the memory of all this whole universe as it was created from its original source. The photons have been, since the very early, even in the very early times before they formed in, before even atoms formed, there was like a soup. The cosmologists tell us there was this time around 14 billion years ago, when it was like a kind of just soup, when the atoms hadn't even formed yet. But the photons were there. Even then, the photons were there. So they're very ancient. And they're like little archives of universal information. And they carry the story of our universe from its very earliest time. So when we take the food in and we bring it into ourself, we're also remembering this story of who we really truly are, all the way back to the early beginnings of the universe, because all the atoms and all the tissue that makes up us is also so ancient material.
And we are that.
Yeah, so it's integrating, what it's doing is it's integrating that pure potential, or that God energy, which is at a very, very abstract, very fine level, with the physiological, with the body. And it's every piece of food, it reminds the body. So it's integrative. It integrates that fine, delicate aspect of creation with the material level of creation. And this is, as humans, this is how we fulfill our role, or our task, our gift to the Creator, of integrating totality into the relative. Why we have these physical bodies is because we have the vehicle that allows us, the channel, to bring that wholeness into the parts, so that the parts and the wholeness know themselves to be one thing.
That's absolutely beautiful and so, so perfect, Dorothy. I think there was a moment when the beings of light said to me, and I think I mentioned this before, but they said, wow, you don't imagine how grateful every human would be if they realize that for you to exist, for you to be this, trillions and trillions and trillions of subatomic particles have to be in agreement.
Yes, in agreement. Yes, yes, yes.
And they said to me, you are a divine intention.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yes, yes. And when we sit and eat with our families, we're validating that for each other.
Yes.
Right? We're saying, yes, and you are a divine intention, and for me, you are that divine intention.
Yes. And when you drink that water that you're drinking, and when you see your child, when you see the flower, even the pen, wow.
I know, right?
We start being in a state of gratitude, elevating our vibrational frequency.
Yes.
And now connecting with angels, energies, masters, divine, because now we're vibrating up there at that level, where now our channel again is open to go back to the loop of knowing who we are.